What's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. So these are pre-recorded episodes, like I mentioned on the last episode. So by the time you hear this one, it'll be August 4th. So I'm not sure if baby is here or isn't here yet. So assuming she's still not here, then you'll know. You'll know. Funny thing is, my midwife said that a lot of moms who are late moms, meaning like their first child came super late, usually like their second one is,
easier.
Easier. It's going to be easier, but they end up usually being an on-time baby.
Oh,
like
good.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, great. That's hell yeah, because when you're listening to this, we're recording this the weekend. The Friday before my husband leaves out of town for his Phoenix show, which is 7/25. So, and today's Mickey's birthday. Today's her 13th birthday.
You are the bonus parent of a teenager now.
I know. I can't believe it. I told Pete this morning, I saw a little picture of her. You know how iPhone now shows you pictures like on this day?
Yeah.
So it sent me one when I had her party for, I think it was her 8th birthday party, and I did it like an 80s theme, and we had it at a skating rink. I mean, we went all out, right? And I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe. Yeah, I was like, I'm getting a little choked up. He goes, are you kidding me right now? I was like, no. And then we get to the gym, and he called her because I was like, she's asleep, Pete. She's not going to be up right now. But I guess everybody had been calling her because it's her birthday, so she was up. And I just told her, I said, I kind of got teary-eyed, and she started laughing. She goes, you did? I said, I did. I was like, I can't believe you're 13. And I said, we celebrated your birthday in the weekend of 4th of July, and I didn't feel any kind of way. And I think it's because maybe I knew it wasn't her birthday. I know that's such a mental thing, but we celebrated early because, again, 3 years ago when I was pregnant with Penny, I was celebrating Mickey's birthday. It was like the 14th. Penny came on the 11th, right? But I thought that because Penny was going to get here on 4th of July on her due date, right, that a week and a half after would be fine to have her birthday. Like I probably wouldn't be able to do a lot, but everything was going to be planned anyway. It was going to be at a movie theater that year. So I just kind of felt like I'm going to be sitting anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be required to do a lot. It literally was a private party for her, like 6 friends. I rented like a little her theater for her. And it was just going to be, I just ordered them like, food from the thing. And you know what I'm saying? It was a really like small little party. So I figured, oh, it's going to be great. You know what I'm saying? We'll be fine. Well, Penny decided to come on the 11th. I already had her birthday. We were out at Target when I was buying the little baggies for her to give the goodie bags. And I remember driving. Yeah, I just said, hey, I'm not feeling so hot. She goes, what? And she starts getting nervous. She's in the back seat. She goes, what does that mean? You know, she's still little, you know? And I said, that kind of means that I think I'm having the baby. She goes, oh my God, call daddy right now. Pete was on his way to the gym. And this is so typical of my husband, guys. Listen, he's not always making jokes, but his responses are so comical. So I'm just going to say that. He goes, so does that mean I can't go to the gym, or does that mean I can go? I said, are you kidding me right now, bro? Did you really just ask me if you could go to the gym? I said, I don't really know. This is the first child I've had, so I can't tell you whether or not I'm serious, if you should not go to the gym or should come to the gym. Like, I don't know. Then I get home and I'm antsy because it's not cleaned. We were in the middle of cleaning. I was doing laundry when I left at Target, so that's a big issue for me, which is why I'm taking this whole weekend to clean up.
Oh, makes sense.
So I'm having Luisa pick up Penny on Saturday because Pete's out of town. Otherwise, Pete would be able to take her to go do something while I clean up. And
Did you pick her up today?
She did, because I want to do the side of the house. And they're here, so it's kind of like, you know, they come back in, we come in and out and so forth. So anyway, so just happy birthday to my little teenager. But before we get started, here's the quote that I wanted to say to you guys. Don't forget, you can change your life at any time. Any day you can delete your socials, go vegan, start exercising, cut off toxic relationships, or move across the country. All it takes is a decision.
That is so true.
Right? And you know what's crazy is if you've been listening to the podcast since I started, then you know that I had Kelly Jean as my first guest, right?
Yeah, first guest of 2020.
Of 2020.
Or 2021, sorry.
Yes. And I know that for a lot of people it's like don't push your holy moly stuff on me, but she's very they're very involved in church, and so is Lucky, her husband. Now he only raps Christian music. He goes around giving his testimony, but I had never really heard hers 100%. And that's what made me think about this, is because of change. And that's why I'm saying we make the decisions that we do in life. But I wanted to read her post because she's been really, involved with the youth at her church to where she's like, I guess like kind of telling them like, what she went through. But I thought this was interesting because we always joke about childhood trauma. We always talk about like what you kind of grow up with is, what you become. We talked about that on the last episode, But I wanted to kind of read her post, and it's pictures of her, preaching to, giving her testimony to the youth. And she says, growing up, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. Dealt with molestation, dealt with anger, was stuck in juvenile system, dependent on drugs. I hated my situation and the fact that I didn't have control of what to choose for myself in terms of people always applying rules. My mom, probation officers, school counselors, etc. I really thought I was grown. I continued to rebel, and that led me to deal with a lot of consequences. But God always had his hand over my life. God planted seeds in me in those dark places. I went through what I went through, and now I feel empowered to help. Speaking at youth was one of the toughest things I've done. It looked super easy, but the enemy attacked me before and after. I told myself never again. I felt like a failure. I didn't like the feeling. I couldn't get rid of the knot in my stomach. The one thing I myself learned from this experience is that if you have no other choice, you can always choose God. God will never fail you. I came out of this shell this night. I ignored the enemy and his lies. I gave my anxiety to Christ. I let him use me, not for glory, but to share what he and only by the grace of God has done in my life. To go from streets and the system to traveling around the country to share the news of his goodness, have hope in every season. Know that he is our strength. Don't let pride or fear have control. Be bold and courageous in him. So I just thought it was interesting that we all choose when we want to change our lives. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be because God touched your life, whether it be a tragic, situation, a divorce, a separation, you know what I'm saying? You got pregnant by a one night stand. I have a friend that happened to, you know what I'm saying?
Damn.
A Vegas one night stand. And it was kind of like, no, bitch, this was a one night stand. Don't call me about your situation.
Golly.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I'm saying? It's, that her post today just really had me like, it's crazy because the choices that we really make. And I had this, and it's crazy. Yesterday too, I was talking about my mom and I were talking, and she was just kind of telling me her mom isn't doing too well right now. Right. And so she was just saying all these things about my grandmother. And then I had to play the psychologist, and I said, well, did her mom do the same to her? And she's like, yes, from what I understand. She kind of starts telling me about how my grandmother's upbringing is. And now all I keep thinking about is childhood trauma. But remember how I had said, like, we have to change the pattern, right? Just because you grew up in an environment where it's bad, there's drug dealing, that's what you see as the norm, right? It's still at the end of the day a choice. And here's why I say this, right? And I know that everybody doesn't have that will, right? Because it's still part of your personality. You still have to have that will to not repeat whatever.
It's a muscle. You have to exercise
exactly. It. My mom, because my mom was saying like what I guess that would be her grandmother was like, right? And then she said, then my mom kind of did the same thing that, you know what I'm saying, her mom did. And I said, wait a minute. Out of all her 10 kids, none of the 10 kids did what her mom did. Is that not weird? And I said, well, wait a minute, Mom. I said, you should be very proud of yourself then. She was like, what? Like, she just like, so she was talking and she kind of got choked up and started crying. She's like, I hate talking about this. I was like, oh, well, now I know where I get that from.
Yeah.
She's like, I hate talking about this. I move on from situations. I don't like dwell on them. That's me. I don't dwell on shit.
It's not called dwelling.
I move on.
It's working through it.
And so she said that. She was like, I don't dwell on him. I don't dwell on my past. And she's like, I move on. And she's like, if you keep living on the past, she's like, you'll never move forward and you'll always be stuck and play the blame game. And no. So I'm like, okay, all right, now I know. And so I said, well, wait a minute. I said, what are you crying for? I said, because thank God you weren't like, you're the total opposite with us. She's like, well, yeah, because I didn't want the same for my kids. I was like, I know, but that's what I'm telling you. You chop the pattern. Like you said, no more. You said, this is not, I'm not doing the same. She could have easily done the same thing her mom did. You know what I'm saying? So I think just like her mom just kind of always blamed her kids for her situation. And so my mom said that one day she just said, none of us has to be here. Yeah. Like you legit kept having kids to where it's 10 total, my G. Like,
that's crazy.
So at some point you had to have said like, I'm done, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
or I can't anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So don't blame none of us for your personal issues. You know what I'm saying? So she was just kind of talking to me and I just said, it's so true. It's a cycle of life. But if you don't stop and make these choices yourself of like, I'm not going to do the same thing my parents did. I'm not, like you said, you're like, you knew what you wanted to not do that your dad did. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And trust me, my mom's not perfect because there's things about her that I don't want to do with my children. Same. You know what I'm saying? I don't think no parent's perfect. I'm sure Penny will feel the same way about me and Pete. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think we all...
But if you do it right, as they go on, the kids will find less and less things wrong with what you did to them growing up. And it's like that meme. Last time we brought this up, I think Marissa was here and we're talking about the whole trauma thing. And I brought up that meme that really struck a chord where it said like, it ran in my family until it ran into me. Yeah. Like that's the simplest way to describe it. Break the chain, right? Break the cycle. And
I think that's how all this is how I think everybody can stop saying that it's a race thing, right? That the whites are privileged. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of them. You know what I'm saying? That
it's always back to CRT.
Yeah. And it's like, I just kind of feel like, no, it's like you have to worry about your own house and how you're going to be not the same, you know what I'm saying? Like pattern that the rest of your family lived or whoever else is still doing, the shit that you never thought. And then funny thing, this morning I saw Kelly's post and I was like, she's right. She made those choices. She made those choices of not wanting to, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen to her parents. She wanted to rebel for the reasons that she said, molestation, different things that make you act out. You know what I'm saying? So
she didn't become a victim of that pattern.
Exactly. I mean, she later chose to like, and her testimony is crazy. Like how, like.
Yeah, I see. I can't, when I hear stuff like that, I can't relate to any of it. And then it makes you reflect on your own childhood. Like, oh, wait, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Her testimony about how she became a Christian or found God was quite interesting because she was a dancer.
She might be due for a reappearance, honestly. It's been 6 months.
She hasn't been on for a while. She was a dancer, right? In her past, she was going with a friend to go fight another girl from this club, right? And she had told her, she's like, hey, I'm not going to fight. She's like, now, if anybody else jumps in, fine. You know what I'm saying? But this is your battle. I'm not here to come.
This is your beef.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just here as your backup should anybody else jump in. Well, she says they show up at the parking lot of a church. She's like, this is a fucking setup. What's up with this? Like, why are we here? Type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And then she was like, this is really weird. And then she says that she looks and there's like women, like older women coming towards their car. And so she's like, what? She's like, man, if she just told her friend, she goes, if anybody jumps in, I'll jump in. And that the girl who they were there to meet, that's the girl they were going to fight, right? Or her friend was going to fight. That she goes, she rolls the window down like what's up, right, type of thing, right? And she's like, that girl had just came out of jail, the girl they were there to fight.
Okay.
And she said that while she was in jail, Jesus touched her heart, and she wanted to invite her to church, and she wanted to pray for her. And she said, Kelly was like, what? She said they had just finished smoking, so she was high. Like, what is happening? Like, she's like, your high just goes weird, right?
Sure.
And so then she's like, what? And she says, like, I don't want to fight you. I just want to pray over you. God has told me to reach out to you, and you've been nothing but good to me. And, you know, you were always there to watch my back and da-da-da. And so the girl's like, all these things. And she's like, but God has called me to talk to you. And so she's like, totally praying over the friend. Like, Kelly's now like, what is happening? The lady like the other ladies that were there to, like, I guess, like, kind of, they were there, I think, to support as far as like, you know, like God loves you type of thing.
Yeah.
Tells Kelly to roll down her window. Kelly's like, what? Like, she's still trying to smoke her blunt type of thing. Damn. She rolls down the window. She's like, God has asked me to come talk to you, you know? And just kind of, she's like, what? Like, what is happening? So she's like, can I pray? Or she's like, okay, whatever. They pray for her. And she says she still was just like, okay, that was the weirdest thing, whatever, you know? But that was her start of her journey into, you know, giving her life to God. Not that.
Wow.
And she said she continued to dance after that. She was still kind of, and then she started going to Bible study, but still, you know, dancing.
Yeah.
And then finally, she said one day she showed up to work. She said she sat in the back one day, right? And she's just looking around. And she said, like, it was just like a whole bunch of just demon and devil shit happening. That's how she saw it.
Sure.
And so she said she grabbed her stuff and she left, and she never went back after that. She never danced again. She started going, like, dedicating her life really to God. And this is what has come out of it. You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
Is that not a crazy story? When she told me, I had goosebumps because I was curious. I really don't like to ask people their personal.
Yeah, you do. What are you talking about? We love that kind of stuff.
I know, but I don't. I like for you to volunteer it. I don't want to kind of like.
Let me just diarrhea of the mouth my personal story.
Well, because you know, man, let me tell you something. People can usually diarrhea out of their mouth their story on their own without me asking.
You're right, because if you set them up, they're almost like they're hoping people kind of set them up for it.
Yes, and so Pete, that's why Pete, I told you, Pete always sends me to go, when he wants to talk to somebody, he sends me. Yeah. He's like, cause even my mom used to always be like, when I used to work at her shop and I sat in the front and I'd be like, Ma, did you know? Blah, blah, blah. She goes,
how did you know that?
How did you know that? I said, your client just told me. She's like, he's been my client for blah, blah, blah years and he's never told me that story. I'm like, yeah. And did you know? I didn't ask for it. I'm just having a regular conversation with you. I don't know what I do to people, but it makes them like tell me their whole life story. People be like, yeah, like cut it up.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
I don't know. I don't do it on purpose. Like I just like, I'm just talking. And I love that I can make you feel like, because what if you're having like a shitty day? I just happen to be the person you're chit chatting with and you just needed somebody to vent. You don't know me anyway, so it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I going to go tell? Like, I'm probably just going to come tell my podcast listeners, like, guess what this crazy story happened, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't know that person either. So it's not like, you know, but I remember like, I never wanted to ask her. And we just kind of like, all I said was like, so how did you accept God? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because people always have their testimony. Like my parents, and they accepted God as their savior because my mom couldn't have kids. They had been trying for the past 5 years and they couldn't get pregnant. My mom had fibroids. So it was preventing her from getting pregnant. My grandparents were already involved in the church. There was a retreat happening And so this man said, is there anyone here who is ill, sick, blah, 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 blah. If you'd like to come up to the front and we'll pray for you. My parents not being believers, like, this is so silly. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother was like, Angeles, you should go up there, have them pray for you. You know, you've really been wanting kids, and, you know, God does miracles, you know? And then my mom said that her and my dad were both like, here's our mom, or, you know, like, you know, pushing this thing forward, you know? They prayed for my parents. My mom was due for surgery. That was due for surgery like that week of. That was on a Sunday. Excuse me, in that week of. My mom went in. They did an ultrasound before her day of her surgery. They're like, so where are your fibroids? And she's like, what? Like, I don't know. Like,
you tell me.
Yeah, she's like, and they're like looking. They don't see no fibroids. And then my mom gets pregnant. Here I am.
With fibroids.
Yeah, not with fibroids, yeah. And there you go.
Wow.
Like, that's how they became believers and accepted God, because it was like, wait a minute, like, no one had been able to fix me. Like, no one had been able to do anything that let me. Also, I know that the medicine back then was not as advanced as it is now, you know, but it was like to her. And then growing up, they'd always make my mom give her testimony about how God does miracles, right? And so then it was after church, I almost felt like Buddha, because people would come up to me and be like, do you know how lucky you are? Like, you're a miracle from God. You know what I'm saying? Like, God really put you here on purpose. And it was like, you have a purpose. And it was like, I felt like so much like pressure, like, hold up, y'all. I almost felt like my mom, I didn't ask to come here. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom was the one that wanted me here, you know? But it's crazy, because I feel like everyone's journey to whatever salvation or whatever better path you choose to go is because something happened. It's like something like went in your brain, and it was like, we've got to stop this. Like, we can't continue this. I can't be this to my children. And I think that's with everything in life. You've got to just kind of like, if you're fucking miserable, you're miserable by choice.
Yeah, you got to make that decision.
If you're depressed, and I know depression is something that's mental, right? But I think you have to also change your way of thinking so that you're not depressed. Like, what can I do? What makes me happy? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do to so that I'm not always upset? Or obviously therapy has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just feel like a lot of things that are happening right now in this world, and I know it was like, why does she always go back to politics or transgenders? But I just like, that's why I'm telling y'all, I need my shirt that says get right with God, y'all, because I was watching this news this morning and I was just like,
yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking about all the things that are going on, like all the current events, you know, this Delta variant, the second, you know, round of the lockdowns, or not even
and they
second,
wanted us to
whatever it
wear
is.
the mask.
Yeah, the you know,
Lena Hidalgo,
who won a down ballot. She wasn't necessarily chosen as our county or our, whatever
I was
judge.
honestly, when she won, I reposted her. And I remember saying,
Viva la raza.
I just remember saying, it's wonderful to see a Latina in this position.
Mm-hmm.
That was my post. And it really is.
Yeah, totally.
It's obviously we didn't see that growing up, you know? So,
but also do better.
also stop lying.
Yeah.
Also
up.
stop lying.
But that goes for all politicians.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But it's like, I'm telling you, I just sit there, and this morning, and it's weird how everything, yesterday talking to my mom on the phone about choices in life, and then this morning, I don't ever really get on social media that early in the morning. I just don't really like it. I told you, I get my Jesus on first, you know, I'll watch a little bit of whatever the news is, and then I'll finally grab my phone, you know? So I switched today. I didn't do none of my motivational watching. I went straight to the news because I hit my nightstand, and so the light on the phone came on, and it was Lena Hidalgo's tweet. I told Pete, I'm like, I don't know why I follow her. It's almost like I want to be mad about something, so I follow her. She's the one person that irks me, you know,
She triggers you.
Yes, and so I said, I don't know if that's the reason, and so I just thought it was funny, and then. And I just, after I finished watching all this mess on the news, watching Biden at the town hall, speaking at the town hall thing, and I was just like, and then this mask thing. And I'm just like watching. I'm like, why'd you do this to yourself? Why didn't you first get right first, kick off your morning right.
Yeah.
And that way, all this nonsense, you're able to tolerate. I was just like this. Dude. I said, Pete, I'm about to cry. And he starts laughing. I said, no, I'm about to cry.
California's shutting down restaurants again already.
Yeah. I saw a video of people just going into Target. Rob, they have these, those huge bags. You can wear them as backpacks sometimes. Just full of things, people walking out with it because they can't go to jail if it's less than $1,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was just like, when in your lifetime, I know that you are younger than me,
yes,
but when in your lifetime did you ever think you were going to see people be able to just walk into a Target, fill up a bag of whatever shit they want, and not go to jail for it?
Dude, I'm going to fact check this as we're doing this because I'm going to say it first and then I'm going to check it. But I saw a headline. Obviously, you can't just trust headlines. You got to read the full thing. But apparently it's a crime in San Francisco to walk into a store, like let's say Target, without a mask. But it's not a crime to walk out with $959 worth of things. So I said that, and now let me check.
Do you see what I mean? This morning, that's how I woke up. I was just like, I can't. I told Pete, I said, this is too much. I said, this is way, 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 way too much. I said, people have got to get better. I was like, we've got to be better. Regardless of how you stand, we have got to get better.
Yeah.
Stop being fooled by everything that is being put out there. Like, stop fearing. Stop living in fear. Like, the mask thing again. Did they not say that the mask didn't do anything, Rob?
Oh, yeah. It's like people already forgot about those Fauci emails.
Why are they not? Everybody forgot about the Fauci emails.
He was fighting Rand Paul. He was fighting Rand Paul the other day. And
the problem. What is it? He was like, like,
you know nothing.
No, bitch, you're the problem.
You know nothing about what you're talking about, Rand Paul. Senator Paul, you don't know what you're talking about.
And no one is still questioning him, though. That's it. It's been that, and that's it.
And those whole damn procedures, all the formalities of it, all right, Speaker, your time is up. The chairman's just like, okay, your time is up. Let him respond. It's like no one else is grilling him. It's just like this stupid formalities of like, you have 3 minutes, they have 2 minutes, they're going to respond. You got to let them answer.
I couldn't this morning. And then watching our president, Rob, I really think he's like a robot.
Yeah, right.
Like, I think he's fake.
Straight up. Welcome to the club.
I think he's fake. Like, this might be my tinfoil thing. But Rob, he's like this. And he never blinks. And he's just staring. So I'm like wondering, does he have like little contact lenses? Like, I almost feel like, what's that show that we were watching? Westworld.
He's one of those.
Like, he's got one of those things on. And they're just like telling him what to say. And then he doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's so scary.
The Don Lemon thing, the town hall that he was doing the other day, I posted like one of the like quotes from it where it just literally makes no sense. It's like, I can't even repeat it because it was all just random lines. It was just random words strung together to mean nothing.
I saw that this morning and I said, listen, not that Kamala Harris can do any better. And I told Pete that was so weird is my last episode was about that. Like, as much as I don't want her to be, like, just stop abusing this little old man.
Yeah. Yeah,
let him go out with some kind of dignity about something. Like, this is enough. He has no... And where is she?
Yeah, it's a good question. Where
is she? What is she doing?
Well, she's supposed to be in charge of the border. Like, that's her main role. That's been her main role for the last 3 months.
Bro.
And then she went to El Paso. She went to the safest spot of the border.
Oh my God.
If this is what you get on the public episode, everybody, just wait to see what you get in the Patreon when you sign up at patreon.com/HERR Lounge Podcast.
That's how I was this morning. I just sat there and I was mad at myself for watching that first versus getting my good, you know what I'm saying, fuel of motivation. Life is shitty right now. But and you know what? I told Pete, I was like, and this is why I told you. We have got to get everything right, because I feel it, guys. If you don't have a pandemic-proof job or some
side hustle,
some kind of something, Start getting yourself ready. Listen, guys, it is not good to depend on the government. I know it's nice to get this little free money. Who doesn't like free money? But this is going to be worse. I don't know that I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not the best at economics, right? Like, it's not my thing. But one thing I do know is that when there's inflation, the only people that suffer is the middle class.
Yeah.
So if you're a middle class, like most people are.
Middle, lower class.
Yes. We're the ones that are going to suffer. Okay? We're the ones that are going to suffer. So prepare yourself for that. $15 is great. Yes. But most small businesses cannot afford to pay $15. And what happens if they have to pay $15 an hour to their employee? Well, now you as the customer have to make up for it by maybe paying now $10 for something versus the $6 you were paying before, because the person who is running this business has to make up for it. Well, that's not my problem, you say. No, it's not. But that's the way the business cycle works. And if you're an entrepreneur or someone who wants to start a business, guess what? That is part of it. So, it's a lot just happening. And that's why, again, we, the people, need to make the choice. We're talking about choices on this episode. Like, we have got to make better choices about, about what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what we are going to do. Like, we can't let this keep happening to us. And y'all, you can't possibly, please, keep telling me that you think this is normal. Like, no. Like, I thought to myself, like, had I not red pilled myself, right?
Sure.
When during this time I would have finally been like,
I actually asked Chingo that the other day. I was like, because he said something about, some of the arrows that he caught early on about talking about all this stuff. And I go, yeah, I feel guilty. Like, you caught all these arrows because I told you, I was like, you might as well just start talking about this kind of stuff. You can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I think I followed up with he said, I don't know how long it would have taken for me to just, had we not had that conversation, to just say this is enough is enough. So now let me ask you, do you have any idea like what would have been the tipping point of what's enough would have been enough? I mean, the last 16 months.
So I thought to myself, I think I would have been the one that was like, damn Republicans, y'all are just mad because Biden won.
Yeah.
I can see myself being that.
Like at
first. At first. Being like, just accept it.
Yeah.
Right? But then I think I would have been like, what? Like, the border thing probably would have been my biggest thing. Like, I would have been like, whoa. Like, something's wrong here, because I am now about to be 40 and I've never witnessed anything like that in my life. Like,
you're absolutely right. But I had this thought too yesterday, editing the podcast that I put up for today. Because of big tech and the algorithms, you probably never would have seen Jorge Ventura's stuff. You never would have seen Daniel Hernandez's stuff. That stuff never would have been put in front of you. You may have caught some border stuff, but only what you would have seen on CNN or MSNBC.
And it makes me wonder, why Wake Up Right and Turning Point were the first things that showed up on my social. I was trying to think what I might have liked or clicked or watched that made those accounts show up on my popular feed, because I'd never followed any of those accounts.
On your Explore feed?
I honestly didn't follow any politicians. Anything politics related, I didn't follow any of it. So I just kind of was like, interesting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just not sure. I don't know. But I think for me, it might have been really, to be honest with you, the pandemic, like the lies, the inconsistency probably would have been the beginner of it.
Yeah.
And then the border part would have been a bigger thing for me. But I honestly think like it would have taken me a little bit to where I would have been like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I would have been in denial. I would have been like, there's no way this could be happening in this country. This is America. This would never happen in America. Like, all those things I feel like would have been like, wait a minute. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
But then you see what's going on in like France, or you see what's going on in Cuba for even worse. Yesterday I saw, I think Anthony, Inform with Anthony had posted just people, just thousands and tens of thousands of people were protesting because France is basically, just they're cracking down. They're forcing people to do, X, Y, Z, wear the mask, get vaccinated, like mandatory passport, all these things that people are like, this isn't freedom.
What happened to my life, my choice,
my body, my choice,
whatever that is.
Well, European, I mean, no country has what the United States has. I know,
but I was just saying, so what happened to any of that? So all those people who protest the my body, my choice, what's up with that one?
I know it sounds a little like maybe over dramatic, but it almost feels like sometimes we're holding on by a thread here to some of these liberties. And it's saying, and that sounds, again, this is coming from somebody who does a political commentary podcast with your husband. And we go far on the conversations because we got to go to both sides of the spectrum. Like, are we being over dramatic, or we just too far into the rabbit hole? But sometimes it does feel that way. Like, we hit stop, cameras turn off, and we're still like, yeah, I still don't feel comfortable with some of the things happening. Like, I know we just did a podcast about it. We're trying to like shine light on both sides of the possibilities. It's scary.
I don't feel like that about it. Rob,
what?
That's why I just keep saying, get right with God.
Okay.
Get right with God, because it's insane. And the fact that there's still people out there that have not opened up their eyes or even questioned a little bit about what's going on scares me. Scares the F out of me, because we're in trouble. Our country is in trouble in many ways.
Yeah.
In many ways. Like, I'm not just talking about wearing a mask. I'm not just talking about critical race theory. I'm talking about economically, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already people that before any of this shit couldn't afford to live. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So imagine now with inflation. What's going to happen to those people, Rob?
Dude, the last 4 or 5 Tim Pool podcasts have been so good, but also so terrifying. With the guests that he's had on and the subjects that they're talking about, it's just like, and the most recent one was a homesteader, like somebody that, does he's off the grid completely, right? So he's got the garden, he's got the electricity, he's got the water, he's got the filtration systems, he's got the reverse osmosis, he has everything where he can be off the grid. But it's been like a 10-year process to get there. So he's written books about it, how to prepare, kind of like preppers, but more on you can't go from one day to the other. It's a process, right? And they just keep shitting on how cities are they're getting worse and worse to be in, right? And I was driving, I drive downtown. I have more and more of a disdain for downtown Houston. And this is just me. This isn't Marisol's opinion, obviously. It's just mine. I just have such a disdain now. I used to love the city. Love it.
Well, yeah, because if I'm feeling like I need to move somewhere,
I know
I'm against moving out of the city.
You're like the queen bee of the hive.
Because I lived in the suburbs for so long, and it's not for me. But at the rate we're going, I mean, it was funny because I just saw a house a couple of streets down. It's huge, Rob.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's almost like 2 houses put together. There's like a thing that connects it in the middle. And I told Pete, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I need to call to see how much this is selling for. I'm like, because this is huge. It's 2 houses in one. It almost looks like whoever bought those 2 houses on 2 different lots, just kind of opened the middle, connected it with like a little cute little hallway, and then there's another whole house.
I imagine for some reason I want it to be a sky bridge, like a bridge that connects it from the second story to the second story.
And I just saw it and I was like, what? Because Pete took a wrong turn in our own area, and so
imagine that.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh man. I was like, look at this house. I was like, and it's right off the freeway, so it's a little bit closer to the freeway or whatever. But it was like, oh my gosh, And then I was like, well, let me see how much this is, because it also has a bunch of like land area. It's really odd the way it was. That's why I say I think that the person whoever bought it bought 2 houses next to each other, but
Just
made it one big house. Yeah, I think so.
Is it on HERR? Just curious.
It has to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What, people hitting you up?
It's Pete.
Yeah, Marisol. So while she had answering this text, she had a call after a text after a thing this morning. I think we started like 50 minutes after originally we were going to start.
Yeah, exactly. It was
busy morning.
Busy morning, exactly. And I went to the gym this morning. I actually went to go work out. It was funny because I asked Sean before I went to him. I said, "Are you comfortable with me going, or are you nervous?" Because the girl at the spin class gets nervous when she sees me. She's always like, I told her when I left yesterday, I said, hey, Sunday, so I'll send you my payment for the 2 classes for Tuesday and Thursday. She goes, you're coming next week? I was like, yeah. She goes, but you're due any day now. Like, I'm so nervous. Every time I see you, I'm like, listen, my water's going to break. I'm going to be able to leave. Tell my husband I'm on the way. I was like, you're only 17 minutes away from my house. I'm like, so usually someone who's having their second baby takes about 40 minutes before, let's just say the soonest,
you
right?
broke it down.
Yeah, I'm like, it takes 40 minutes. All right, so I'll get there 17. He's already called the midwife. I'll shower real quick, and, we'll just have a baby. And she's like, what? She's like, no. Like, no. I said, girl, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here. So
you can take it or I'm coming for
exactly.
free.
So it's funny. So I wanted to go to Sean's today, right? And so I said, if she feels like that, let me ask him how he feels. I don't want him to feel like weird about it, right? So I said, are you comfortable with me coming to work out? He's like, yeah. Why wouldn't I be? I was like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, is her water gonna break here? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's going to take a while. Don't worry. He was like, I'm ready. So I did everything today. Like,
cool.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
Like, it feels good. Like, it feels so good. Like, my body's like, thank you. Like, thank you so much for coming here today.
Yeah, when you start the day off with the news and whatnot, you have to let off a little steam.
Yeah, exactly. Even when Luisa I'm tired of people trying to tell me they know when I'm going to have my baby. Yeah, I don't think you're going to make it.
Did she say that?
Every time she sees me, I don't think you're going to make it.
Lisa, I see you 5 days a week almost.
Lisa, yeah, I don't know. And then it's like, we were talking about, because the breastfeeding part, right? Mm-hmm. I ordered Similac, right?
It's a supplement, right?
It's formula for babies. Okay. So I ordered some because when I first had Penny, I didn't have a lot that came out. So I had to supplement. Mm-hmm. Okay. And funny thing, I had gone, you know who gave me those samples while I had them? My OBGYN gave them to me. He's like, hey, these came in. Do you want them? Like, I'm like, oh, I'm breastfeeding. It's like, okay, well, they're samples. Can you just fucking take them? Because we've got so many of them, And I was like, okay. They were literally just thrown back there in this side room, you know? And then it was like, my midwife goes, did you buy formula? I was like, no. I mean, I was planning to breastfeed. I didn't think I was going to have an issue, So she's like, okay, well, and then Pete goes, hey, what about those 4 bottles that I'm like, is that formula? So he brings it and he's just like, is this formula? She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, well then we do have formula, but we only had 4 bottles.
Yeah.
But, and then I didn't want her to, get nipple confused. So we had to feed her with a syringe. So with like a little needle syringe so that she never got the exposure to the nipple of a bottle to not confuse her when my supply would start to kick off, So it's funny because that the other night, and I know that everybody's not the same. And I know that some people have to be on bed rest because, whether you're carrying twins, you're high risk, whatever your reason is, right? For me, I was telling Pete, check this out. Last night, I slept with no problem, right? I had no issues. I did my usual. I sleep sitting up for a little bit. I wake up to go pee. That's when I rotate. And you know what I'm saying? No problem. But I also worked out. So I slept like a baby.
Yeah, makes sense.
Versus the night before, I went from the couch, the recliner, to the bed, back to the couch. And I was up since 5:45 in the morning. Even, I think, was it you that asked me? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you up at 5 something? I just couldn't sleep. And that night, what did I do? I started to panic. So I ordered the nipples for the bottles that I use whenever I pump. So that when I'm not around, Luisa has a bottle. So I ordered the new nipples for that. And then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't ordered no diapers for her either. Shit. Oh my God.
So you're just on Amazon at 4 a.m? Or?
Yes. So there I am ordering diapers, and then I'm ordering the supplements, and then I ordered the supplements for to make sure that I'm able to produce milk. And you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there stressing everything out. And I'm like, why are you just now preparing for this? Like, you've been knowing for the next 9 months that you were going to have a baby. I did the same thing with Penny. I didn't buy anything until my last baby shower that I had. And then it was like, oh, hey, so we'll need a car seat. So at some point we should probably buy that. And then I discovered the Duna. So the car seat was pointless. It's brand new, never been really used. And then it was like, oh yeah, where are you going to bathe her? Okay. So now I need a bathtub. So it was like I think I went like, when I thought she was going to be here 4th of July, I think I went like 3 days before to Baby, whatever that is, Baby R Us.
Yeah,
no,
Baby R Us.
Is that what it is? Baby Depot. Is that one?
It might be another one.
I don't know. Whatever it is. I remember we went and used all the gift cards that people gave me for the baby shower because that's what I asked. I wasn't registered anywhere. I didn't want anything. I didn't want anything in my house that I didn't need. I didn't want a diaper genie because I didn't find the purpose of it. Like, I don't want
Really?
I don't want diapers in a trash can. Like, just.
I guess I don't really know what it does because everybody that we've had babies, everyone's a fucking diaper genie.
Well, I don't know what it does either. Like, it kills the smell.
I think it kills
first
the
of
smell,
all,
yeah.
why are you letting the diaper sit that long in your trash can anyway? That's disgusting. Like,
what are you doing? Throwing it out like outside right away?
yes.
Okay.
Like, I just go back there and throw it away. Like, I don't want that in my house. Like, period. So it was like, you know, yeah, it's like there's little things I just didn't want. I didn't need all these extra things. Like, you know, I really can't even think of it right now, but it's like all these extra things that you get sometimes. Like, okay, I was just telling Pete yesterday, I'm like, hey, I haven't ordered the baby a pacifier. Should I order her one pacifier? And he's like, yeah. He's like, maybe. And I'm like, well, which one do I order? Because Penny didn't like any pacifiers. She never took a pacifier except for Luisa one day said, hey, have you ever tried the ones from Mexico? I'm like, no. So the ones from Mexico inside the nipple have honey. Babies can't have honey. Okay. So when people on my social media saw that, oh my God, did I get attacked? They said, like, if that buzz, she can die. They were taken off the market here in the United States. Like, you shouldn't be giving it to her. But it was like, those were the only ones that Penny liked. And she didn't have any teeth, so I didn't even get like how she could pop it. So what I would do is I would challenge it myself with my fingers and squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it to see if anything at the base of it would come out, right? Because it's possible. So I'd squeeze the fuck out of it and I'd be like, well, this one looks good. So here you go. Those were they're $1. So I'd buy 10 of them hoes and I'd be like, alternate. When I'd see they'd get too soft, I throw it away, get another one. Too soft, I throw it away. And then I'd be like, hey, can I get another 10? You know what I'm saying? And it'd be like, those were the only ones that she liked. I think it's because that pacifier mimics so much of a mom's, the softness of it. And then the gushiness from the honey, I think maybe gives the same sensation of a mom's nipple. I'm assuming because the other ones are so plasticky. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My friend Yanami was also the one that told me, hey, have you ever tried the Mexican? Those are the only ones my kids ever took. And she's like, I'm like, well, I don't know. And that's when I told Luisa. Luisa brought them. So I don't know if I should like just get those again or do I get a regular pacifier. It's like crazy.
Whatever's easier.
Yeah. I'm just right now, it's like I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, Pete just brought all the stuff back from storage. So I'm cleaning up stuff. I'm like, oh. And then I'll see some stuff and I'll be like, yeah, Penny didn't really use this. So like, maybe I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm like,
thank God you have it.
Yeah. I kept the things that I felt like were going to be used. The bottles that I have, they're getting reused.
Oh yeah?
They're the ones that I use for Penny. All I'm doing is buying new nipples. I'm boiling them, getting them ready, and that's all I'm doing. So I feel really bad because this baby is a hand-me-down baby.
Don't feel bad. Why would you feel bad?
Because she's getting nothing new.
Who cares?
Except a few onesies that, you know,
somebody might give her.
What she's been given. She's got a few onesies here and there. But other than that,
shoot, the way the economy is going, she's going to be used to getting hand-me-down everything until she gets older.
That was my point. Here we go. So my point was, see, guys, my point was for this was I was telling Luisa, I'm like, I only bought one of these containers because the rate we're going, I don't want them to be like there's a shortage in formula for babies, so now we have to give them some other kind of garbage. You know what I'm saying?
Stock up now.
So I was like, that's why it's important that I'm able to continue to produce milk. Like I have to make sure that my milk is good, that I'm eating. I said, because I don't want to rely on formula.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do we do now?
The supply chain's down. What are we gonna do? Yeah.
I mean, Pete went to the cleaners, and I'll end with this. He went to go pick up our cleaners, and he was talking to the guy. And Pete remembered that I had told him that, hey, so they gave me the clothes like this because they don't have any hangers.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. That's how crazy it is.
Did he put it in a bag or did he put it over his arms?
He put it in a bag. He put it in a bag, but the way they rigged it was almost like so that the bag created like a little baggy thing. Mm-hmm, it was really interesting how he had to do it.
Got to engineer sometimes.
So it's not the regular hangers. It's the bigger ones that, because I take my my comforter to get dry cleaned. Mm-hmm. So that one goes on a real like big old industrial hanger. And so he didn't have any of those. So he was just telling us. So he told me that. And so I told Pete, I was like, even hangers are having an issue right now. I said, is that not crazy? And we left it at that. Well, he went to go pick it up yesterday. And he said that the owner was telling him like, it's pretty bad to where it's costing people so much money to fill up one container, right? When it gets stuff shipped from China or wherever you're ordering it from. People are like, well, this is not worth it to me business-wise. Excuse me, because it's costing so much money to fill up a container.
Yeah.
And then he was saying that he can't find people to work for him. He said usually they won't hire someone who they have to train. And the reason for that is because of the way the machines work, like the heat, how long they have to have it on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just kind of, I don't really know how the machines work back there, but whatever it is, it's like the amount of time that they have to be on and so forth. He's like, well, while someone who's experienced, we may leave at 1 a.m. to, you know what I'm saying, finish doing everything. We're probably not going to be leaving until 3 a.m. because now I'm going to have to be training new people.
Yeah.
And he was saying like, most cleaners don't hire like people with no experience. Yeah. Because of the way machines, the cost of running those machines is expensive. So now you kind of get an idea why dry cleaning is sometimes expensive. Is because of the way Pete explained it to me. Maybe on the RPT, he'll explain it better when you guys have it. But he's like, we just had a whole economics inflation conversation about it. And I was like, what? Because it took him a while. I was like, well, damn, why has he been gone for so long? Like, the cleaners is just down here, you know? And I laughed. I was like, did he call you Mr. Martinez? He's like, yeah, because I was Martinez whenever I first started going there versus funny. Now. So he calls it Mr. Martinez. And anyway, so I thought that was interesting because like even the dry cleaning business is being affected. Dry cleaning, bro?
No one escapes this.
Dry cleaning.
Everything's connected. You know, the knee bone's connected to the every bone. Every bone.
So with that being said, guys.
I like how this was going to be the follow-up to the Let's Talk Business, which dropped today.
No, that's the next one.
Yeah, this is going to be the next one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So thank you guys so much for listening. And when you hear this episode, I guess you'll know whether or not I have this baby yet. So.
And if they want to join the community,
please log on to www.patreon.com/HERR Lounge Podcast, guys. And thank you guys to everybody who's been participating. I uploaded this week my first video journal entry. And sorry it posted so late. I just couldn't figure out how to post it there and then here. That's why I told you, hey Rob, can you check to see if I did it?
But you got it by yourself without asking.
Okay, perfect. So I was so glad that it worked. So anyway, guys, that's probably going to be how I'm going to post my video vlogs for, going forward, at least for right now, because I feel like it's going to be easier for me to video what's happening versus kind of trying to find the time to write.
Yeah.
So I know that some of you guys enjoy the video. So And some of you guys don't. So again, I'd love to hear your feedback. Please, guys, that's the only way I can get better. Constructive criticism is great for someone who's, trying to create a community. I want to be, something that you guys are like, yes, this is exactly what I want. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.